is. I am your host, Cheats Two Belts. I am joined as always by EJ the Collector. EJ, what's good, my man?
I am here. I am present. I am accounted for. And still after holidays, I'm accountable. It's great to see you, Cheats. I am really excited about our guest tonight. I'm excited to talk
Bro.
wrestling. I'm excited to talk 2022. I'm excited to be just back online. Let's get Collector's Choice out of the way. A year-end Collector's Choice Award from the December WrestlingCrate.com. Check out these autographs I got. Can you see
Is
them?
that Karrion Kross in Scarlet?
That's Scarlet autograph, and this is a Killer Cross autograph from when he was doing the Killer
I love
Cross.
it. I love
Might
it.
have been in between his Karrion Cross characters. That came from WrestlingCrate.com in December for the holidays for Hanukkah. My brother really hooked it up. I did get a June 1983 copy of The
The
Wrestler.
Wrestler 1983. Who's on that cover?
That's Ric Flair and Barry Windham. Prayers up to
Prayers
Barry
out to
Windham.
Barry Windham.
Hope he's recovering. I flipped through it. We got Rick Martel on the cover.
The model.
You know, the Ganyas are keeping the AWA title from Rick Martel. That tells you it's old school. Rick Martel, by the way, did go on to capture the AWA title later on in 1983. It's got some great, all the classic ads are back there. You can order magazines from back up into the early 70s from this thing. Just a great piece of memorabilia. Thank you, my brother. And also the card poster.
Oh wow!
From a,
That's
just a reprint.
Right?
The NWA from the Richmond Coliseum.
Oh, that's great.
This was like December '86. What's cool about this is one of the first shows Andy and I went to at the Coliseum. We went to this show. It featured, the main event was a cage match. Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff versus Ric Flair and Tully Blanchard with James J. Dillon. So the fact that Dusty and Nikita were tagging up probably puts it late 86 after Magnum's accident, no doubt about it. The Road Warriors took on the Midnight Express. Arn and Ole took on the Rock and Roll Express. Wahoo McDaniel, the Raging Bull, Brad Armstrong, Jimmy Garvin, the Kansas Jayhawks, Ivan Koloff, Baron Von Raschke. A great card that we went to. Got the playbill from it. But forget 1986. Let's talk 2022. Cheats, take it away. I am happy to see you. Let's get it on.
And that's what we're all talking about. This is our year-end extravaganza show. We have a plethora of amazing guests that will be joining us very shortly, all at once. We're going to talk about the year that was 2022, the biggest stories, the biggest breakout stars, the biggest matches. We're going to talk about everything. But before we do, we have some of the biggest guests that we've had in this entire year coming on. I'm going to bring them on one by one because I'm so excited to have them. I don't think there's a wrestling, I don't know if it's entity fan. I don't exactly know what to call them, but I don't know if there is a man that's had a bigger year in wrestling without actually being a wrestler than our main man, Victor Perry. The wrestling club has been all over the place, and we're bringing him in right now. He's one of our favorite guests. Victor, welcome to Wrestling Chat with Friends. How are you feeling, my man? Happy holidays to you. You can't hear a word you're saying right now. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
I got you, brother. I got
you. Got you.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, man. You've had a monster year. Just quickly for people that I'm sure everybody's been following the wrestling club. I see the t-shirt on. Quickly tell us, who are some of the guests that came to your classroom, to your school this year?
Oh man. Mercedes Renato, Keith Lee, Swerve, Luke Curtis, and Layla Gray.
What a year, man. And that's exciting. It's middle school kids. They've been going to shows. They've been getting special guests. They've been getting packages and presents. Bro, we've been following everything you've been doing. And if I had a nickel for every time somebody tweeted, man, I wish I had the wrestling club when I was in middle school, it might have changed their outcome. And that's really what you're doing, man. So it's impressive that not only are you exposing people to the sport and the entertainment, you're actually keeping them engaged in school, right?
Yes. I've seen a growth in all of my kids, especially this group of kids that I'm teaching this year. I've seen kids come out of their shell, and I've seen them really like mature at an alarming rate. And I think it's thanks to the club, having a community where they have that confidence to just express themselves is a blessing, and it's dope to witness already. And we're just getting to the second half of our school year.
That's all.
I've been giving you your flowers all year. Been a big supporter since the beginning of you, Victor. You're literally one of my inspirational stories of the year, and I can't wait to see what you do next year. We do want to give all your thoughts. Mark, just before you bring on your next guest, I'm just going to tell Victor something. I made a prediction offline.
No, don't tell him that. Don't tell him that.
I'm not. No. Oh, I'm not gonna tell him. I'm not gonna tell him. I made a prediction about you with cheats. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. But in sometime in 2023 we'll revisit this conversation. But I'm a huge supporter of yours. You're going to do great things, and what you're doing with these kids is awesome. You've had some cool experiences. You've attended the last couple of live events in Brooklyn and recently at MSG. You were sitting pretty almost ringside for that show. Want to tell us about that? What was your highlight moment from that show the other week?
Kevin Owens knowing me. That was
that's awesome.
How did that come about? He was walking around, saw you, and said,
"Well,
what?"
He follows me on Twitter, and so we've chatted a few times, and he's expressed his love of the wrestling club, and we have like this bond. And so I went to the show randomly, like I wasn't planning to go to the show because the tickets were so expensive. But I checked on a Friday night, and they were really cheap, like for front row, and I was like, "Wait, what?" So I bought tickets. Just wanted to go to cap off my year. It's been a great year, and hadn't had a lot of opportunities to just enjoy wrestling by myself because it's been kids. And so I was just front row, and Kevin was just walking by, like doing his normal thing, shaking people's hands, giving autographs. And so I stopped him. He looked at me, and he's like trying to figure me out because I think he recognized me. And I was like, "I'm Victor, the wrestling." And before I could say the wrestling club, he just grabbed me and hugged me. And then he was like, "Yo, it's so nice to meet you. Let's take a picture." And it was just really nice. It was cool to see this go beyond social media, because most of it's living within the social media world. But to see it actually go far beyond, and now it's in person, where he's recognizing me. Different people are coming up to me at events. When I went to Survivor Series, people were just coming up to me and was like, "Hey, I know who you are. You're part of the wrestling club. We love it." And it's just been a blessing. Like, it's definitely been the highlight. One of my most, out of my I'm gonna be 30 next year. So out of my 20s, this year has definitely been probably the best.
That's
excited
awesome.
for you.
Hey, Elliot, this is awesome, but we want to get, we got a bunch of guests. We're going to get everybody on, and then we got to start the voting. And I already got comments of saying start the voting from my son, who's like on the sideline. So here, let me bring in one of our another favorite guests. We have so many special guests. I've got to bring in my main man, Muscle Man Malcolm, aka almost his number one fan. I don't know what's going on here. What is going on, my man? You are one of our favorite guests of the year. Welcome. How are you doing? Happy holidays, my man.
I'm chilling, man. Happy holidays to everybody as well. Happy Kwanzaa, you feel? But
exactly.
Well, I'm good. I can't complain. It's been a great year so far, and hopefully next year will be just as great.
And you've had some really cool experiences, not just from doing interviews online, to actually now going to, like, getting credentialed, right? And going to some of these events. I saw you. I was very jealous. Tell me a little bit about what's it like really being a part of the press corps.
It's weird. It's weird because I'm used to just like making random wrestling videos online, and now I'm going outside of just wrestling as well. I just went to the PFL, which is MMA. Madison Square Garden recently. I'll be going to a few boxing events next year so far is lined up. It's kind of sick. It's kind of wild.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's been fun. It's been fun.
When we first talked to you, we knew this was going to happen, but I'm sure you're surprised of the time frame that it's happened by before even the calendar rolls over. We're so excited for you.
Well, it was either we knew this was going to happen or he was actually going to be in the ring, like breaking heads, one of the two. So Are
That
you
might
still
be next year.
I was
I don't
saying,
know.
are you still training?
Here and there. I mean, I haven't really committed myself to it because I interviewed Bret Hart earlier this year. I don't say that as a flex or anything.
No, it's a
just
flex.
kind of like watching him, it's just a little bit, but watching him just kind of like move around and whatnot. And Bret wasn't like a big like high flyer or something like that.
No.
And so to see how he's moving around at his age, and he's not old at all. Like I don't think Bret Hart's old. He might be in his 60s, if that.
Early 60s at most.
Yeah, like he's not even that old at all. And to see like in the condition that he's in, I'm like, man, I want to have kids one day, and I don't know.
He took some crazy bumps though. He took some crazy bumps. Yeah. So one of the best of all time.
Facts, and they just like fly around a lot in wrestling nowadays. I'm like, I don't like falling on my neck.
You'd be a powerhouse though. You'd be a powerhouse
type
of individual.
True. But I don't know. Nowadays they expect to be like Keith Lee or you're nothing, and I don't. Oh my
god!
I want to fly on an airplane. I don't want to fly over the top rope. I'm good.
If anybody's seen that Warlow match last night, I'll tell you, there's some flying that goes on for the big fellas.
Yeah, I'm good. I'll pass.
We're bringing in our home team. We're going to bring both of them in at the same time. My man Mo, my man Doe. We've got no holds barred and beats and bumps and banter. I'm going to say beats because I think of the music, Doe. I think of the music first. So, but it's Bumps and Banter podcast, one of our super extravagant shows, and as always, family home team, family podcast network, no barred podcast, no words barred podcast. Mo, Doe, welcome to the program.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, everybody?
What's up?
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
And once again, Cheats, happy birthday to you, man.
Man, appreciate it, bro.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. I'm getting up there. When Victor said he was turning 30, I was like, bro, I remember those days. Those were a long time ago for me. So, all right, gentlemen, we're going to jump right into it because I think some of this stuff is going to overlap. It's going to be self-explanatory. So if it does overlap, if it is self-explanatory, not everybody has to like repeat exactly what other people say. But we want to get these votes in. We want to get into the big stories of the year. I know where we're going with this one, so it's going to be a layup. I think it's going to be a layup. I think you only have two choices. I'm going to start with my man Elliot. And then we're going to go to Mo, then Malcolm, then Doe, then Victor. Again, if it's a layup like I think it is, we all don't have to say the same thing. But I'm going with storyline of the year. The year 2022. What was the biggest storyline in all of wrestling, in your opinion? What was the thing that carried you from January to December? Storyline of the year. Elliot the Collector, what's the biggest thing that happened in wrestling this year, story-wise?
What I hope with these awards is that I'm going to be a little bit of a contrarian to, I think, a lot of the general consensus. Partially to be a contrarian and partially
I see where you're going.
To allow some of the obvious to be maybe further unpacked by some of our more experienced, more seasoned guests. So there is an obvious, which I'm going to put as an honorable mention. And I'm sure that's one that will be touched on in just a minute. The other, but the two for me, the one co and the winner for me. The co for me, this storyline was the Forbidden Door storyline in AEW over the summer.
Ooh, yeah, you're going contrary and early.
Hadn't happened in a long, hadn't really happened. The buildup was sort of quick but exciting with some appearances by top New Japan guys on AEW, and partially is because like we went to a little bit of an AEW Forbidden Door show in DC when they put it on, but that event was again like maybe a watershed moment for what the future might bring with some bigger collaboration. So that's my number one honorable mention outside the other one. But my number one story of the year, for all reasons, in front of the camera, behind the camera, was the MJF CM Punk storyline.
Wow.
Everything that came with it before, during, and after. Yes. I think that is as big a storyline that you're going to find in wrestling. There are some other obvious ones, but that is my storyline for 2022. MJF, Punk, they each seemingly just outdid themselves in ways we hadn't seen in years.
I like it. Mo, no words barred. What is your storyline of the year?
Storyline. There's a couple of ones to pick out from, but this to me, there is a storyline that started. I mean, we saw how it escalated from the beginning of the year to even recently, and that is the rise of Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn, you are speaking to my son's heart, who's already said Sami Zayn.
Sir.
Keep it going, Mo. Keep it going.
That is, man. Listen, you got to think about what he was doing at the beginning of the year. He had arguably the most entertaining match in WrestleMania out of the both nights. It wasn't a match. It was just chaos, but it was hilarious chaos. It fit in with the show and with his character, and he played it off. He did a great job with that.
You're talking about Johnny Knoxville, Sami Zayn?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. That match right there. I mean, it was comedy hijinks. Remind me to add stuff. But then we transitioned over the course of the year and get involved within the bloodline. And seeing how that has taken off to the stratosphere for Sami Zayn and got everybody saying Usi. Like, come on. That's the word of the word of the year, Usi.
I love it.
So
I'm with you. I like it. Malcolm, I don't know if we can use almost for this answer, but what do you think is the storyline of the year that kept you riveted from January to December, or just the biggest thing that happened in wrestling creatively, storyline wise, last year?
Fair. So, okay, no one's gonna agree with this, and that's fine. I'm okay with that.
I
It has
love
nothing
it.
to do with
I love
Omos this one time. I have two. I'm gonna say both anyway. So my first one was a less controversial, but it's gonna be Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul. Like, that was so good because like Logan Paul being WWE champion isn't that unreasonable to think. And to think that he could beat Roman wasn't unreasonable. And the match was fire. And Jake Paul came out to every day, bro. It was dumb. And I love dumb stuff in wrestling. And then my other one, the one I really think is the biggest storyline of the year that no one's gonna like, and I'm okay with that because I went to it. It was the biggest spectacle of SummerSlam weekend. Ric Flair's retirement match.
Oh, I like it. You definitely a swerve. Definitely a swerve, but I like it. Ric Flair's final match. That wasn't his final match, by the way, but final match. Great story, great storyline. I like where you're going with this, Malcolm.
Yeah.
Doe, what was your storyline of the year? Elliot, are we keeping track of these? We got to keep track of these.
Okay. I got these.
So I'll say the obvious one, which was the rise of the bloodline. But my favorite one, the one that made me smile, was Seth and Cody. The Seth and Cody trilogy. That was pretty, like, if you go from WrestleMania until Hell in a Cell, beautiful wrestling, great story. You couldn't go wrong with it.
I think it was a big deal. But
the rise of the bloodline is pretty much, that was the one everybody can probably agree from the beginning of the year. They got Solo Sikoa now.
Yep.
It's so many layers into it. Main event Jey Uso, like the Usos winning the undisputed titles. Roman, like they really conquered the entire WWE this year.
I agree with you 100%. Victor Perry, what was the biggest storyline of the year for you?
I think, without sounding like a broken record in the bloodline, I think I'm gonna throw one out there that I think underrated, but it was tastefully done. Bianca and Becky. I think that story.
Excellent. I like it. What was it about that rivalry that kept you engaged?
For me, I think it was, and I think for a lot of people, a relief.
That they didn't mess it up.
Yeah, I mean,
they messed it up so bad the first time.
Black champions, they have a terrible track history, but they pulled through. It was a wild ride, especially with the kids for those 8 months. Like, it was a roller coaster of just wondering if this is really going to be a happy ending for Bianca.
Right.
And it ended up being that. And I think it's elevated her to a place now where I do think she's going to be the person to beat Roman for those championships.
What?
Love it.
Breaking
Love it.
news. Breaking news. Hey, look. Call me Captain Obvious. I'm going to agree with most of you, and I won't belabor the point. But what I will, in my zag, I will have a slight zag in the sense that and I have a slight zag in the sense that I've often said it's not a rivalry, it's not a war, it's not WWE versus WCW until someone switches sides from AEW to WWE. It's a one-sided thing. If WWE keeps feeding, they release people and AEW picks them up. Those are huge storylines. Don't get me wrong. When Bryan Danielson and CM Punk showed up on AEW TV, it was massive. However, it's not a two-way battle until somebody from AEW goes over to WWE. So when Cody Rhodes, one of the pillars, one of the founders, one of the executive EPs, went over to WWE, and not only did he go over there, he gets the surprise WrestleMania spot. He gets the biggest pop that Cody's experienced in a long time. And he became a major player and a major star coming home. That was huge for wrestling because, again, now it shows all the stuff that like MJF was talking about bidding war 2024. None of it was real until somebody from AEW is accepted over in the WWE. And when Cody Rhodes did that, that was huge for wrestling, I think, because it also elevated in a very simple way. AEW is still, the number two, the competitor. They're fighting the Death Star, the big machine, and for WWE to even acknowledge and accept someone from AEW in the way they did, it actually elevates AEW. It makes AEW a more credible organization by WWE doing that. So that is my swerve. And then the super obvious, as everybody knows, I agree with everybody on the set. The Bloodline reigned supreme in 2022 more than they were the most dominant force in a wrestling company and stable in 2022 that I've ever seen in a long, long time, like Four Horsemen type days. They had all the golds. They ran roughshod over everyone. Roman was at the best he's ever been. And the Sammy factor of this, not only did it make it awesome, it made it entertaining. So all praise to that's the storyline of the year. Let's go in reverse order. I'm going to start. This is going to be, I think I already know this one for for Victor Perry because he already said it. Female wrestler of the year. Female wrestler of the year. Let's start with Victor. We'll hit Doe, Malcolm, Mo, and come back down.
Bianca, but I want to add one person.
Please do.
Hope I don't butcher her name. Gilia from Stardom.
Yeah, I saw some of the clips that you were posting the other day. Yeah. Yesterday, today maybe.
She's had a great year. So those are my two.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Doe?
Oh, definitely Bianca. Bianca pretty much was your girl this year. The only other person I can put in there is, I guess, it'll be like a 2A and B, and that would be Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker as a collective. Like they pretty much dominated AEW women.
No, they didn't. There's an AEW woman that dominated. Neither one of them.
Yeah, Jade. But Jade still. Right. She doesn't have that main title yet.
I love it. No, I love it. I'm with you. I'm with you on it. I thought Bianca obviously had a monster year as well. Brett Baker carried. I mean, Brett Baker, for what it's worth, you couldn't have a main event in AEW without her having their hands in there somewhere. So I'm with you, though. Nice. I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking it. Malcolm, Women Wrestler of the Year this year.
Okay, so I still can't say Omos yet. But
not yet.
all right, I'll get to it. Obviously, Bianca. I mean, you have to say her name. Like, she's the biggest megastar in wrestling besides Roman. But to add to that, Roxanne Perez, she's had such a fire year. Like, I saw her impact this year when she was Ring of Honor Women's Champion, and now she ended the year as NXT Women's Champion.
Yep.
Monster in the business.
Monster year. Monster year. We don't give enough respect to what she did over there. Monster year. Mo, who you got?
Oh, Bianca. That goes without saying. I do want to give an honorable mention. Yes, Jade. I'm never gonna forget Jade.
How can you not?
With her undefeated record and other stuff, but honestly, the person that gets a lot of shine is Rhea Ripley. Rhea has
good call.
Big year for her, and how her character has progressed and her interactions, her and Dominic Mysterio. I mean, it's comedy. It's comedy. I can't even say it's TV gold because they do stuff, the Christmas thing and then the Thanksgiving thing, the stuff that happened with the Mysterios. Like, she's been right there the whole time. She's played her part in all this in the Judgment Day just perfectly. I don't think you could really ask for anything more out of her. But yeah, I mean, the obvious answer definitely is going to be Bianca, though. That's it right there.
Elliot the Collector.
I'm glad Mo said it. Rhea had a huge year, and she's running the Judgment Day right now. She's what people are tuning in for to see what she's going to do. But yeah, Bianca dominated, I think, much like she did the previous year too. She's on a roll like none other. Her and Jade are both going to be enormous stars. But yeah, Bianca really shined every single time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to belabor the point. Bianca Belair is the biggest woman star in professional wrestling, and she carried that torch beautifully. It's going to be even bigger for her next year with the Hulu reality show. But in the ring, she is dominating and carrying that flag where a lot of people came in and out. We'll see who they throw up against her as we go into next year, whether Charlotte Flair comes back, whether Sasha Banks comes back. We'll see who it is, whether it's Bayley, but all of them, and I guess Liv had a great year too. Can't sleep on Liv Morgan's year, but it's Bianca. It's Bianca all the way. And let's get a little bit more controversial because this one I think is going to be a little bit tougher. Malcolm, again, you can't pick Almost for this, or maybe you can. You might be able to, because we're going to talk about Tag Team of the Year. Tag Team of the Year is loaded. It's tough. Who did you think reigned supreme as Tag Team of the Year? While you guys are thinking about it, I'm going to go to my main man, my partner, EJ the Collector. Who you got, man? Tag Team of the Year.
If we were in some other orbit in the universe where a year was only 5 3/4 months long or 6 months long, the Acclaimed would be running away with it.
However, everyone loves the Acclaimed.
Yeah, they're pretty much third on my list right now because 2 other tag teams had monster years. No one can dismiss what the 2 members of the Bloodline, the Usos, did this year, was setting the tag team record, really coming through every week, individually and as a collective. As the co-stars to the Roman and Sammy show, they played all their parts perfectly. When you're talking about, like, at the end of the year, like, who was featured in some of the biggest matches all over the world, who was holding multiple golds, I'm going to go with FTR in this case. They're still on the tips of everybody's tongue in wrestling right now. They don't have the same number of titles leaving 2022 as they did during some other parts, and their future is very much up in the air. I'm really curious. I'm going to try not to go down and read too many.
Go down it, because I think it's going to happen.
Not this time. I'm going to, aside from Malcolm, of course, and some of the other respectable journalists that I really go on Twitter for, I'm going to try to avoid a bunch of the rumors, and I'm hoping that I'm watching on a random, who knows what it is, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and I see those guys pop up wherever they are next. That's my tag team of the year. They had some great battles with, say, the Briscoes. Taking nothing away from the Usos, who I'm sure some of y'all are going to mention, but FTR is my tag team.
Doe, who you got?
FTR.
Wow.
They really showcased tag team wrestling this year at its highest plateau. I think the trilogy with the Briscoes was incredible. Like, you can put those tag team matches against anybody else's this year and say this is tag team wrestling. If I had to give it to anybody else, it would definitely be the Usos, but they don't have enough tag team competition, you know? So you kind of got to go with FTR because they won titles in 3 different companies. They won 4 different titles in 3 different companies this year.
They were definitely gold collectors. They were definitely gold collectors and had some bangers of matches. They really became top guys. Mo, who you got tag team of the year?
I mean, it's for me. It's 1A, 1B. I mean, 1A. I mean, it could be either one. It could be the Usos or FTR. I mean, that those.
This is your vote. You got to vote.
But I'm gonna go with Usos. I mean, I'm gonna go with them, man. It's
not a bad pick.
It's hard for me to go against them. It's hard. It really is hard for me to go against them. You know.
So we got 2 FTRs. We got 1 Uso right now, and we're gonna go to Victor Perry. Victor Perry, who you got tag team of the year?
Usos.
Any particular reason why?
I mean, you can't go against them. They carried WWE in the tag team division. I mean, I want to say someone else, but you can't. Usos.
Muscle Man Malcolm. Who you got?
Yeah, I mean, it's FTR to Usos. Between the two, I go Usos. But like, I want to say another team that we're not gonna talk about.
Who you got?
I want to talk about Leo Rush and Yo from New Japan.
They're new, though. They're new, right?
I love my guys from DC. That's my guys. So Leo Rush and Yo,
killing it.
I love them. But also, Usos over FTR, but they're all great. So everyone's loving.
They're on Wrestle Kingdom next week, right?
Yes, they are. Yeah, it's gonna be lit.
We love Leo Rush on this show. We wish him the very best, as always. We have a lot of Leo Rush discussions. On this show. You know what? If I got to do it, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna go Usos as well. And my reasoning, though, I thought about this a lot. The Usos, when Roman made the decision that he was going to tamper down his activity, basically limiting it to pay-per-views. Like, he'll do some appearances and he'll do some talks, but you're only really going to see him wrestle on pay-per-views. That decision changed the course of how WWE had to operate as a company. And what they did was they put the Usos as workhorses, main event of Raws, main event of SmackDowns. Those two, the Universal Tag titles up on the line. And I will tell you, they delivered and delivered and delivered to the point where there was a part of me, if you had asked me this at the beginning of the year, who is a better kind of dynasty of a tag team in WWE? Would it be the New Day or would it be the Usos? At the beginning of the year, I'd have been like, I don't know. But the Usos carried this company the whole time, main eventing everywhere. Jay, right-hand man Jay had to take singles matches. They took tag matches. They took everything. And they delivered every time. And the interesting thing about the Usos, a lot like FTR as well, because FTR had a monster year, and I agree with everything everybody said about FTR. But the thing about the Usos that people, I don't think they get enough credit for, they had so many clean wins. Yeah. I mean, clean wins. Mm-hmm. They would put you in the finishing move in the middle of the ring, and you didn't get up, and they would just grab those belts and on to the next city. And for that reason alone, it's the biggest storyline in wrestling to me. And they were the workhorse. They were the Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard of the Horsemen, while Roman got to do Ric Flair's type stuff all the time. And then they had Sammy and Solo. I mean, I just thought it was amazing. So I'm going to give it to the Usos. I'm also going to say FTR was amazing. I actually really loved, as everyone loved the Acclaim, I got another category. So I've got another category for the Acclaimed and Jade Cargill that we'll get to. But I love the Acclaimed. I loved Swerve in Our Glory. I loved all those kind of storylines. I will say this too to close this part of it out. The Usos did have a very weak tag division, I think, to deal with. And I don't think it's their fault. WWE could have elevated the Street Profits. WWE could have elevated the Viking Raiders. WWE could have elevated even Alpha Academy. They could have had some real tag team competition, and the WWE, for whatever reason, didn't do it. So the reason why FTR also is as great as they are is because even at the end of the year, they're taking on the Acclaim. They're taking on the Lucha Brothers. They're taking on Top Flight. They're taking on everyone. And so, and of course the Briscoes. So I love it. Let me get to what I think is going to be one of our favorite conversations. Breakout Star of the Year. Now, this is not Rookie of the Year. You don't have to be a rookie to fit this. But you do have to be a Breakout Star of the Year. The person the most you want to see continue their elevation in 2023. Who was your Breakout Star of the Year? Because there's so many we can choose from. And I'll start because I always talk too much. But my Breakout Star of the Year is going to be Ricky Starks. Megan will be proud of me to hear this. Ricky Starks, from where he was in January to where he is today, he is absolute. He is undeniable for 2023. He is a person that not only could carry AEW, he could actually carry any wrestling company in the world. And I didn't see that at the beginning of January of 2022. I did not think Ricky Starks would be this man, but he is to me. And I'm just going to go ahead, Malcolm. Tell us who your breakout star of 2022 is, but I got Ricky Starks.
I mean, in general, Carmelo Hayes, but also this man, he's Nigerian and he's tall and he's giant and he's Nigerian.
Oh my God.
Oh crap. And he's tall. He's Kumas. Like the bangers on bangers with Bobby and Braun, and I can't remember the other matches. Oh my. He's Nigerian and tall.
There you go. Omos is your breakout star of the year.
Very good.
He did mention Bobby, who had a huge breakout year as well.
Yeah, whatever. But he's taller.
Omos. Mo, who you got? Breakout star of the year.
All right. So my answer is going to have to be, I'm going to give you a little riddle, all right? Some clues, all right? Clue number one is the background that I have right here from a specific event that happened. And I mean, there's two people in the middle of the ring. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
One who will not be named, and another guy, Eddie Guerrero. And then I'm going to go towards SummerSlam 2005, the first SummerSlam I've ever went to, the one in D.C., and there was a certain ladder match that happened that night. And the person that was the focus of the ladder match is my breakout star of the year, and that is Dominic Mysterio. Wow. And the reason why I am putting that out there is because if you really think about how in the beginning of the year, I mean, even coming into, the end of last year, coming into the beginning of this year, he was still kind of green in the ring. There was still a lot of question marks regarding him. Like you saw little bits and pieces, maybe, with all the matches that he had teaming up with Ray. And then, but once that heel turn happened, and he joined a New Day. I mean, not the New Day, Judgment Day.
Judgment Day.
The floodgates open, man. The floodgates open. He has been highly entertaining.
Yes.
He has been great in his role. When I looked at the video the other day with him and Rhea crashing the Mysterio's Christmas dinner.
This is Thanksgiving dinner, right?
No,
they
did
Christmas
it
also.
again.
They did Christmas.
And then Dominic got arrested, and just the whole interaction. His character, he's got it down. And
he won't last. He won't make it in jail. That was his line.
That's so funny.
And now there's a shirt on it, and he has the mullet growing now. It's only going to. I'm telling you guys, it's going to lead to him and Mysterio at WrestleMania.
I hope
LA.
so.
Yep.
I hope so.
It's gonna happen. And if people don't forget just one real thing, the significance of that. the fact that Mysterio and his son is facing each other. The last time Mysterio had a match like that in LA was against Eddie Guerrero. Guerrero's last WrestleMania in WrestleMania 21 in LA. So it's just kind of crazy how a lot of elements tied all together. But that's my answer right there.
So we've got one Ricky Starks. We've got one Almost. We've got one Dominic Mysterio. Doe, who is your breakout star of 2022?
Okay, so this is tough for me because I want to do the obvious Austin All Day Theory.
Yes,
I want to go obvious with that one because that's such a easy. It's so easy to use.
A-Town Down.
Yeah, he had such a strong year when you really look at it from the beginning with the phone, like the whole losing that gimmick to now becoming this new all day A-Town Down, reclaiming the United States title. He won Money in the Bank this year. I can't think of any other like accolade that a guy at his age, mid-Carter, he reminds me of like Randy and Cena. He looks like both. Like the build for Cena, the heat like Randy used to get. You know, like he's really starting to learn and work his ways. And if I just wanted to throw one out there, Hook had a breakout year.
Hook had a great year.
I didn't think Hook could really wrestle. Hook really proved something to me this year. He went undefeated, 18-0. Had some cool storylines with Danhausen, and I like what he's doing with Jungle Boy right now. I think Hook has a long future. I think next year he may be the real breakout guy. But
I thought they lost some steam with Hook towards the end of the year, but there was no doubt that Hook was one of the whitest hot acts of 2022.
Yes. You got to wrestle with Action Bronson.
Huge.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Victor Perry, who is your breakout star of 2022?
I have two. Ricky Starks, obviously.
Loved him.
And then Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah.
What a year. What a year for Carmelo. We talked about Starks, but I know that you're a huge Carmelo Hayes fan. Was it the Ricochet match? What was the match that made you really be like, yo, I know you've been on Carmelo for a long time, but what was kind of the highlight of your year for Carmelo Hayes?
I think it was just the Ricochet match, obviously, but I think the trust that you can see that the company has with him in these major matches, whether it was the Stand and Deliver or the Worlds Collide or even the Iron Man Survivor, like he was a key player. And you can tell like they're positioning him, like they're taking their time. They're not rushing it. They're not going to it's kind of like the Bianca treatment. Like it's just that he's getting it in NXT where she's getting it in WWE, like the main show. And so he's just being groomed and positioned just to be this hopefully franchise player that can carry the company and be the face. It would be dope to see a black guy actually be the face of a company in this day and age.
Yep.
Love what Carmelo Hayes did this year. EJ, breakout star, who you got?
Admittedly, I did go into this question thinking about a younger talent. You know, I looked at it more of like a rookie of the year type thing, someone who is fairly new to the business, fairly new to television, fairly new to the big promotions. So I did go look at it that way. My honorable mentions, of course, since we were treated so well at the United Elite Wrestling show this summer in Richmond, some breakout stars: Logan Easton LaRue, Gia Scott, Phil Brown, Bo Crockett, Matt Cross, all the guys we hung out with this weekend. However, get to my real breakout stars. I'm sorry, it's not Omos, Malcolm. No, he's up there, but not that high. Here's who I got. I had Hook really was on top of my list. Mm-hmm. He had a great year. Here's someone who a second generation star. He's brand new. He's not getting a lot of exposure yet, but he had a great year. He won some gold, and he's going to carry on a legacy of one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. Down in NWA, Kerry Morton had a great kind of rookie year.
I like it. Yeah.
Picked up the NWA junior heavyweight title. He's getting a rub from his dad. He's appearing kind of regularly. Look for big things for next year. However, my breakout star, number one overall, Willow Nightingale, was sort of unknown starting in January. her charisma, making the most of the opportunities, getting signed, having title matches. She got the RJ City treatment a couple of weeks ago.
She did.
She's on a roll. She's broken out. Maybe aside from Omos, Willow Nightingale is going to have the biggest 2023. She was my breakout star for 2022. Love that girl.
Yes.
I love Willow. I don't know if she's had enough reps even in 2022 to I think to really she's hot. She's hot, but Hook was hot. We just talked about
out. She broke out for me because she performed with RJ one of the better episodes that he's done.
She understood the assignment.
Fantastic.
Which Jade Cargill, I love Jade, but she did not. Her AEW's episode was awful. It was really, really bad. Speaking of awful, let's transition to a storyline that you wanted to go away all year. What was the worst storyline of the year in wrestling, in your opinion? What was the thing, or it doesn't even have to be a storyline. Who was either the wrestlers they screwed up? Who was the kind of biggest miscarriage of justice when it came to wrestling in 2022? I want
to keep the show positive. So I'm going to real quick just give mine. Look at what he's doing. Look at what he's doing now. Conceiving that LA Knight was Max Dupree earlier this year and had him working with the Maximum Male models.
DG loved Maximum Male models.
Yeah, Maximum Males is one thing, but having someone great like LA Knight just kind of get repackaged, renamed when he didn't need to, and make his debut roster like that. I wish he had just come in the way he did in the second half of the year because he's on fire right now.
Yeah, we should just call it the biggest flop. EJ, we should just call it the biggest flop.
Yeah,
the biggest flop.
Max Dupree is my biggest flop.
Who's the biggest flop? Mo, who's your biggest flop of 2022? What was your biggest flop?
Oh my gosh. There's a couple that come to mind, but the top one for me is the whole craziness in between CM Punk and the Elite. Like that thing was just, oh my gosh. It was just ridiculous.
Yep.
Every single day. It was back and forth. This person says that. And oh my gosh. I mean, it was just, it reached to a point that I had to tune out from it. And the other one I'm going to put out there is the one, and I've talked about it on the podcast with Chris. We both agree. Got tired of the whole Sasha Banks, where she's going next, the coverage 24/7.
Oh, I didn't think of that one.
I gotta say that's the one. Another one that I personally was just tired of hearing about. It's like she's going to choose whatever she wants to do, and whatever she does, hey, it is what it is. But those are the two that for me, I'm glad I don't have to hear it anymore.
I'll just jump in because I agree with you. I think the biggest missed opportunity, the biggest flop, the biggest problem in all of wrestling of last year was CM Punk. So it actually soured wrestling for me in many ways because I was so excited when CM Punk came back. He was working in the sense of, big matches, doing big things, brought eyes to AEW, and it just all went away in the worst possible way possible. So I am just it still leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Like the CM Punk thing leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I would say in-ring utilage, the worst storyline in-ring utilage. And this may not be their fault because Swerve is gone, but Hit Row is terrible.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
Hit Row, I loved Hit Row in NXT. I love the Swerve-led Hit Row. They are trash now.
Yeah.
Terrible now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop there. Doe. Biggest missed opportunity, biggest thing that soured you this year.
Okay, so I want to stay true to my podcast.
Sure.
When we did our awards, this person won 2 awards. That was for worst promo and worst wrestler. And she might have got that in the same night. Marina Shafir. She was god-awful this year. Oh my god!
I like
Marina
her.
Shafir was god-awful this year.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, she didn't get it done.
But if we're being just 100%, I'm definitely going to Brawl Out. Brawl Out was terrible for me. I got tired of the coverage of it, the media scrum of it. It made wrestling not feel Like, of course, I like AEW because it feels kind of real sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's like, all right, this is dramatically real. Like, I'm not here for the drama of it all. And that's kind of what you got from it. If you're going to give me drama, just give me the actual show. Don't, like, I don't want the drama in the backstage, all of that. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way for AEW this year. So I would go that one. But to stay true to my podcast, Marina Shafir was disgustingly bad this year.
Victor, biggest missed opportunity. Do we hit Victor? We haven't Victor.
No, let's get Victor.
Brawl out for sure. But I think from a personal connection, the Sasha and Naomi situation.
Awful.
Only because
Awful.
it all happened so quickly. Like we met her, and then the next week she's out. And then it's just like dealing with the kids and still dealing with the kids and trying to it's different when you're doing it with kids and they don't understand everything, and it's not your place to educate them and give them your perspective because it's not your story to tell. We don't really know what really happened. So for me, I guess my flop or my gripe with the situation is just why can't we treat women better? Why does it have to be at a place now where you have talent who are exceptional having to stand up for themselves and then be cast aside, and thrown through the mud. And, we have this women's division on SmackDown, which is not great at all. You know what I mean? And it's like they were fighting to have a stronger division, So that's just my biggest flop. I wish we were not at a place where you see those holes and those gaps where you see where attention is given to some people in some situations, and then in others it's just kind of like, well, we'll get to it when we get to it. Well, when are we gonna get to it? The tag team division for women has been an issue for years. So yeah, I was really looking forward to that story.
Well said.
And I will say, I think had it not been for CM Punk, I think this would have been the biggest, it would have even been bigger that Sasha Banks was no longer with the company in the way that this is all took down. But we were dealing with every day, all of the AEW stuff as well, and who bit who and whose dog was. It was a mess. Malcolm, what do you got?
I mean, to me, Brawl Out was hilarious. Like, just reading everything. Someone kicked my dog. I bit them. That's funny. All that stuff was hilarious. But the worst storyline wise, that was actually on TV, not behind stage or whatever. Liv Morgan's title reign. I'm not a huge Liv Morgan fan, but I do respect everything she's done to get to the point that she is. Sure. And I feel like they definitely mishandled how they could have easily made a top babyface fighting champion with her. Because there were so many opportunities you could have led her to wrestle different people instead of just Ronda all the time. And that match at SummerSlam, I went to SummerSlam and it was the most awkward and most boring thing I've ever seen in my life. And I regret watching that. I wish I went to the bathroom. And it's not even Liv's fault. I don't even blame Ronda either. It was just really bad booking. And I think Liv Morgan definitely should get that title back and have a better reign. So it takes inside everyone's mouth from it.
And Liv could have been breakout star. She's really really had a great monster year and deserved a little bit better with that title reign. All right, gentlemen, we're gonna go faster to make sure that we're hitting the time. But we've got two more major categories, and I'm going to let you do both of them at the same time, even though there will be different answers. So we went Women Wrestler of the Year. Now we've got to go Top Dog Male Wrestler of the Year, and we have to go Match of the Year. So Match of the Year, Male Wrestler of the Year. Mo, who do you got? Match of the Year, Male Wrestler of the Year.
Match of the year is going to be me and Chris agreed on this. Match of the year is Cody versus Seth Rollins and Hell in a Cell. That's mine and Chris's, I know for sure. And I mean, come on, the male superstar of the year. There's nobody other than the one. That's it. The one, the only one, the undisputed champion, Roman Reigns. There is. I don't know any other way you could really say how much of a great year he had, but he's had an amazing year. Simple as that.
Malcolm, go ahead and tell us why Alma should be male wrestler of the year.
Oh, he's Nigerian and he's tall. And he's Nigerian and he's tall. He's so tall and Nigerian.
Who's your wrestler of the year match of the year?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean the Nigerian tall man.
Are you serious? You are really doing this?
Which one of
cool, but like the Nigerian tall guy.
Which one of Omos's matches was match of the year?
Right, what was match of the year?
Oh, Omos versus Braun Strowman. He's tall and Braun's big.
Not Lashley.
No. He's like the big and tall store. It's
not when he took on three enhancement talent in Pittsburgh. No, that wasn't it.
The big tall men just hitting each other,
slapping meaty men, slapping meat.
Oh god,
Victor, who do you got? Wrestler of the year, match of the year.
I have 3 for wrestler of the year: Seth Rollins, Will Ospreay, Mike Speedball Bailey. Those 3 guys have just, you watch any of their matches this year and you're just blown away. I think match of the year, outside of Cody and Seth, because the magnitude of what that represented, I'm going to go with a Stardom match. The kids voted for this, and I kind of agree with them. Starlight Kid versus AZM for the High Speed Championship. Never seen women wrestle like that before.
Your kids are so savvy, and
because I'm not into it that well. Like that's crazy.
Awesome. That's awesome.
That's hard.
So good.
Who do you got, EJ?
Okay, well here's what we got. Let's talk match of the year. My quick honorable mentions are Sheamus and Gunther at Clash of the Castle.
Mm-hmm. Great match.
Roman and Logan Paul at Crown Jewel.
Great match.
Here's gonna be a little bit of a curveball. The dog collar match between MJF and CM Punk. I talked about that being storyline of the year.
Great match. Yeah, it's a great match.
Unbelievable match. However, my match of the year, May 14th, 2022, at the Entertainment and Sports Complex in Washington, D.C. at Capitol Collision.
Are you serious?
We saw 3 of the greatest wrestlers on the planet. Hiroshi Tanahashi, Jon Moxley, Will Ospreay. We saw them live and in person go 20 minutes, and at the end, the 4th competitor, Juice Robinson, walked away with the IWGP US Championship. But for me, because of those guys and the fact that I saw it live and I saw it with you guys, that was my match of the year. Wrestler of the year. Okay, listen. Got 3 names for you. Roman, Jon Moxley, Sami Zayn. Okay? Those are 3 names.
Malcolm can't believe this.
They can be wrestler of the year. However, I went into this thinking about it the same way that I would suspect Time Magazine does their person of the year. And you can think in the 75-year history of that magazine, some of the names that have been Time Person of the Year. That means for good, for bad, they were the number 1 story on about pro wrestling. My wrestler of the year, for all the reasons so many of you are disappointed and crushed, CM Punk is wrestler of the year. If you take the Time Magazine, approach to it,
I can't do it.
Well,
that's okay.
I like it. Keep going.
You don't have to do it.
You're right. No. Keep going.
He put. I mean, for everything that Roman did, for everything that Sammy did, for everything that Cody did, for everything that happened with Sasha, with Bray Wyatt, huge returns. There weren't more eyes on the product during a shortened period of time in 2022 than those dark days you guys all talked about. It made real headlines everywhere. When you do that, you got to get kind of credit for that, for good and for bad. Time Magazine would have voted CM Punk your wrestler of the year. He also had some fantastic matches for a good part of it too. Had some great storylines. What he did in September, was absolute, not just a pipe bomb, a bunker busting bomb that is still reverberating now. It's quiet, we don't see it, but you can't start 2022 and the big things that happen without starting. About a lot of them had to do with him. So that's mine, CM Punk. For better or for worse, CM Punk.
So I want to go with Jon Moxley as my male wrestler of the year because of everything you just said. The one guy that had to pick up the entire pieces of an entire company and plug it in and wrestle all of those matches and do all of those things, not to mention he was doing it in other companies as well. I want to, but I can't. Because the biggest star and the biggest company had the biggest year. So I'm still going to go with Roman as male wrestler of the year because he was the biggest star and the biggest company that had the biggest year of his life. He had the biggest year of his life. So it's almost like I don't want us to look at him like he's Michael Jordan and be like, oh, Michael Jordan always wins. When you look at it, Michael Jordan didn't win enough. He didn't win enough MVPs and first because by default, people start to think he's already the greatest. So let's give it to somebody else, even though he had his best year ever. Roman had his best year ever. I think John had an amazing year. He did have to step away to do rehab in the middle of the year. Still came back. He was a integral part of the company storyline before that. Steps away, comes back, and becomes even a bigger star. But he did take time off. Roman did not in that sense. So I'm going to go with Roman as my wrestler of the year. Match of the year. Nobody mentioned it. I thought it was a phenomenal match between Roman and Brock Lesnar. They were lifting the ring up with tractors. They were throwing they were taking bumps that I hadn't seen in a long time. For two very big, very athletic men that went, I think that match had to be like 45, 50 minutes. It was an amazing, amazing match. I'm still going to go with Cody and Seth. Call me Captain Obvious. When Cody takes off the robe, you've seen the torn, you see what I thought it was makeup. That's how crazy Cody Rhodes looked when he took his robe off. I really thought it was fake. I thought it was like, this can't possibly, no one's going to clear him to wrestle looking like that. And that man delivered 50 minutes, 45, 50 minutes in a Hell in the Cell with a torn pec, with one of the best workers in the world. And so the trust that they had to have in each other, the trust that they had to have in just knowing that they couldn't, he couldn't get hurt any worse. And he was with one of the best workers and I don't even love Cody's matches, but Cody delivered to the point where everybody was in awe. So I got to go with Roman Reigns. I've got to go with Cody and Seth. Gentlemen, let's get the round table. You guys are phenomenal. Let's get the round table out.
I didn't get to get mine off.
Oh, Doe, I'm sorry, Doe. My bad. I thought I was closing it out. Go ahead, Doe.
I just had for match of the year. My obvious one was the Last Man Standing at SummerSlam. But the one that I liked the most was Ospreay and Orange Cassidy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That match is incredible.
Yep.
Incredible.
That's probably one of my favorite matches I've watched ever. Like, it was just good from beginning to end. And rest of the year, it's got to be, if you go from beginning to end, I go Seth. I think nothing Seth did was not entertaining. Every match he did was a must-see match. It felt marquee anytime he did anything. Even just promos were just over the top. He revitalized like his career. He looked stronger without holding a title this year. Well, he had the U.S. title
most of the year that without holding the title. Yeah.
Yeah, like he lost most of his pay-per-view matches. He was really like just the guy, and he made everybody look better. So Seth was my guy.
I think it's a credit to Seth because for one, not holding a belt. You mentioned two things though. Seth didn't hold a belt for most of the year, and Seth lost the majority of his big matches. Yeah. And people still loved him, chanted his songs, and every time he could do something, really stole the show. It is for somebody to not carry the belt and still carry a large part of the workload for a company and do it the way Seth was amazing this year. And he's actually kind of one of those athletes that you don't even need to put the belt on. He's that big. So that's that. I thought it was a very impressive. On the other side of the aisle, you got to look at Bryan Danielson as somebody that didn't have to have a belt, that worked some big, big matches. And every time he was in the ring in AEW, if he's going 60 minutes, if he's going 45, if he's doing Jericho, it was Bryan Danielson to me is like the equivalent to Seth in the way that they were able to and not get bored of him. You weren't like turn this off. Gentlemen, let's do this. Let's wrap up the year with looking forward. I love looking forward. What is the thing, EJ? I'm going to start with you, and then we'll go around, and then we'll wrap the show. What is the thing you are looking forward to the most in 2023 in wrestling, all of World Wrestling? What are you looking forward to the most?
That's a good question because there's so much. I'm very interested in seeing how this bloodline story concludes. There's a couple of different paths they can go down. Ultimately, I'm really kind of excited about seeing the moment when Roman's shoulders, I think, are inevitably pinned 1, 2, 3. Who that's going to be that does that is something I'm most excited about. Not sure if he'll be tall or Nigerian, but I'm just saying, Malcolm, I'm excited for this year's Royal Rumble. I'm super excited for like a week from now seeing Omega and Ospreay get after it again. That's going to get personal. And deeper into 2023, I'll be curious what Max does, the different feuds he's going to see, how they're going to build that up, and who will inevitably maybe challenge Max for real down the road. I'm excited for the year of MJF as champion. I'm actually excited about the bidding war of 2024. Who knows if they're actually going to be one or not, but if contractually there's going to be one, I'll be curious to see how he may or may not be courted. So lots of things in addition to like seeing more antics out of Danhausen, seeing more antics out of Hook. I'm excited about what this AEW new redesign is going to look like. So, and to do this show every Thursday and do my WWE show on Tuesdays on this network in 2023, and having all you guys on again. That's mine.
Absolutely. Victor Perry, what's the biggest thing you're looking forward to in 2023?
I have a few things. Carmelo Hayes winning the NXT championship. That's the first thing. Mercedes and Naomi coming back to wrestling. If Mercedes is going to Japan, I cannot wait to see those matches because I know they're going to be we'll be talking about them as match of the year contenders next year at this time. Ricky Starks coming to his full potential and, maybe becoming the face of AEW, which would be really cool to see. And the wrestling club. I just wanted to continue to grow. I have a lot of things planned. We get to go to WrestleMania. So
that's your number one right there. You're going
pretty
to WrestleMania
big.
this year.
Pretty big.
Yeah.
How many are going?
Right now we have 4 confirmed.
Malcolm just joined the wrestling club.
Malcolm's going. I knew Malcolm.
Malcolm joined.
We have 4 confirmed for Mania, but we have about 35 going for the Raw in February.
Okay, sweet. You have 4 confirmed for Mania, and that's including you. And okay, so there's gonna be a contingent of wrestling club fans at events both in New York and outside New York all year long, and I'm excited about that too.
Yes.
I'm excited, and that's awesome. Mo, what are you looking forward to in 2023?
Personal standpoint, WrestleMania, be there. I will be there representing Nowhere's Barred up there.
Love it. Love that.
Awesome.
This will be my 4th Mania, first one in LA.
That's awesome.
What's the beauty about this WrestleMania in LA? Back in 1991, Undertaker's first WrestleMania was at WrestleMania 7. The date of WrestleMania 7 that was supposed to happen in the Coliseum, but they moved it to a small arena, March 24th. March 24th is Undertaker's birthday, and it is my birthday. So the fact that there is a little full circle moment there with that little connection, even, it's just LA. Never been there, California. But as far as the product is concerned, from AEW, I'm eager to see MJF how he does as champion, how much higher he can go, the ladder that he can go in there, which heights he's going to reach. Hook, I'm excited to see how Hook progresses during the year. Ricky Starks too. Want to see what happens with Jade. Does the streak end? Does it? Is it going to keep on going as the year goes by? Don't know. It's a lot of stuff. And then over on the WWE side, it's the bloodline. Like, who's going to take the title from Roman Reigns? Which title is going to be? It's a lot of question marks, and it's one thing that has not been mentioned in here. It's going to be interesting to see how this build up to WrestleMania happens under tutelage of Triple H in charge of everything. That, like I said, Vince storyline, that was a bad storyline, but it was a candidate for storyline of the year. So
it should have been. We should have mentioned that. We did not mention the fact that Vince McMahon no longer runs WWE. We went through a whole show, and I think we were light on MJF and the impact of Vince McMahon. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Yes. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, and there's going to be more people. Who is going to be the other people from AEW that's going to come back to WWE, or who knows, vice versa? Don't know. So there's a lot of question marks, a lot of things to be excited about overall with wrestling. It's just a matter of just seeing how everything turns out. I'm also eager to see New Japan if they're able to get some more ingrown, in more awareness, I guess more popularity in the US, with theirs, since they now branched over in the US now, not everything's over in Japan. So that's another thing. I know you mentioned, Victor, with, Mercedes, who knows if could be part of if that's what she goes to, so, hey, it's going to be fun. 2023 is going to be fun regardless.
Mo, you bring up an amazing point, because I actually have to revisit. If we're being intellectually honest about wrestling, the Vince story might be bigger than the CM Punk story.
Oh, yeah.
Like, CM Punk was the thing that people talked about so much. And I think for many reasons is because the way that Vince went down, people don't like to talk about hush money and cheating women and scandals and all the nastiness that is involved with an entity like Vince McMahon. But that man ran the company for, like, with an iron fist, like a dictator, or 30-something plus years more. So the fact that he is no longer there, and Triple H is, for what we know, has the reins of this Titanic of an entity. Probably, if we're being intellectually honest, that might be the biggest storyline of the year.
Yeah, that falls under the biggest news story of the year, probably behind Brawl Out. It was just Vince leaving. Those are the biggest news stories. When there was no storyline to make out of that. But yeah, that's true.
Do we get to Doe and Malcolm?
Let's hear theirs.
I'll say what I'm looking forward to. Well, one, my favorite pay-per-view is Royal Rumble, so I'm looking forward to the Royal Rumble. I got a funny feeling Roman's gonna defend one of those titles in the Rumble. I don't know why. I've just been thinking that's how we get there.
Yeah.
And Forbidden Kingdom, the next one.
Mm-hmm.
I was so happy for what I got with that. I know they can build another one better. I know we could get more stars. I would love to get Hiromu Takahashi on the show. I would love. There's so many just names I want to see. I want to see an Osprey, Cleaner 2 at Forbidden Kingdom. Like there's so many things they can do with that. But those are my two big things.
Yeah,
I love it, Malcolm. What do you want to see in 2023?
I'm looking forward to Roman losing those titles to a very tall Nigerian giant named Omos. But besides that, I want to see how well Montez Ford does in 2023. Like, I don't want to see Street Profits break up. I just want to see Montez on a singles run and maybe go after some gold. Maybe go after the very tall Nigerian giant Universal Undisputed Champion of the Galaxy, Omos. Yeah,
I love it. I want to close it out, gentlemen, by thanking all of you for being on our year-end extravaganza. Please follow all of the shows, Bumps and Banner, No Words Barred. Follow Victor Perry in the Wrestling Club. Follow Muscle Man Malcolm. Gentlemen, Happy New Year to you. Be safe. I want to talk to you all in 2023. You guys are not just friends of the program, but family. We love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chiefs.
Thank you, man.
All right. Omas. All right, EJ, we are going to close this thing out. I'll let you know what I'm looking forward to in 2023. There's a lot to be said. I think they hit it. Montez Ford. I want to see what happens with Montez Ford. I think that Hulu show with him and Bianca are going to make him a true breakout star, like a true crossover star.
Yeah.
I think when I look at AEW, I got to see what happens with Jade. Jade is the definition of breakout star. So I'm going to love to see what happens with Jade. I'm going to love to see what happens to Montez Ford. I'm going to love to see what happens outside of the ring. I got to figure out what Tony Khan's going to do with ROH. Whatever they're doing right now isn't it. I've got to figure out what it is with Ring of Honor. I want to see how that – I want it to succeed, but I want to see what happens. So those are the things I'm looking for. And, of course, Bray Wyatt. I think everybody wants to see Bray Wyatt in the ring.
For as much rough seas as there was this year, and there were some rough seas, the wrestling world, especially WWE and AEW, and it looks like, Japan and even things like NWA and Impact, which are still on television. The wrestling world's pretty healthy right now. It's going to give us a lot to talk about next year.
I think so. I think there was, for me, I think there was some real indie hype at the beginning of the year, like GCW, just a bunch of massive, massive indie shows. I think some of that died down towards the end of the year. I didn't hear much about, like, I wasn't going on, like, it was like Terminus. Terminus was, like, I was going on Fight, downloading indie wrestling shows that I'd never done before, never even come close to doing in the middle of this year. I think some of that died down. They've got to figure out ways to keep the indies as exciting as they were at the beginning of this year. Some of that, I think, suffered because there was so much crossover. You saw so many of those indie stars on AEW, so many of those indie stars in New Japan, so many of those indie stars pumped up on Impact. So you saw some of that where it was like, okay, I don't necessarily need to see Nick Wayne work at Defy when I can see, him do something on AEW TV. But I do think that we had a transitional year, like for this show to come on in this year and have what we had in the ring and out of the ring. I think we're starting to really get, next year is going to be really special. You're going to find out what happens with the Bloodline story. You're going to find out what happens with MJF at the top. And when the top's good, I think wrestling's good. So
no doubt about it. It's been a great year. I appreciate this opportunity you gave me, and shout out to you and your family. Shout out to our favorite heel on heels, Megan.
Meg and Ty. We were trying to get Ty on as well.
They will join us again in 2023, and to Tom and to Ali, to all of our friends who always join us, and to all of our friends who joined us tonight. We really appreciate it. On to a new year, man. It's going to be awesome. We'll be on next Tuesday where we'll talk about WWE. I'll be on hopefully with Tom. You'll be behind the scenes. Please go to our socials. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We're there. We're broadcasting live these shows. We're also discussing and tell a friend, join, follow, all that.
And follow all the shows. Follow all the shows that we mentioned. Follow the Wrestling Club. Follow No Words Barred. Follows Bumps and Banner. We've just got a great community, and it's only growing. So, hey, look, it's that time. We got to count it out. We're so excited. Until next time, 1, 2, 3.